my name's Della and I'm the Associate Director of Allied Health Professions at Nottinghamshire Healthcare. I just want to tell you about my career journey. I have had an amazing career, over 35 years in the NHS as a speech and language therapist, and it was just by chance that I came across the career of speech and language therapist when I was 17 in a sixth form common room flicking through a uni brochure. I went to Birmingham Poly. At Birmingham Poly I was a pretty average student. But what really has formed my career was my student placement, and I did a placement with people with learning disabilities in a mental handicap hospital in the 80s. It was a massive shock to me. I could tell you that growing up in the 60s and 70s there was very little integration, but I could see the real potential the difference I could make by better communication, good opportunities for good communication, and hearing the voices of the seldom heard. And that really has been a golden thread that's run through my whole career. So very early on in my career, I developed a model of communication called the Means, Reasons and Opportunities model. And after that, I got the opportunity to move to Nottinghamshire for a research post to look at how speech and language therapists could deliver services to adults with learning disabilities. So I moved in 1989 for a 3-year fixed-term contract post, and the rest is history because I've stayed ever since. I was very lucky enough to be able to complete my PhD, to looking into service delivery for speech for people with learning disabilities. And after that, I became the head of service, and I took on a consultant role and became a clinical advisor for the Royal College of Speech and Language Therapists. And that's been a really useful thing to have done, and I've taken, it's been a real privilege, but I've also had massive benefits from that. So when the Winterbourne View scandal hit, I was able to make a response on behalf of the college, introducing 5 good communication standards for services. And that's developed really, and it's been my absolute privilege over the last 4 years to have been the deputy chair and now the chair of the Royal College. So 10 years ago, I was asked to take on the allied health professional leadership role over some of the other professions in learning disabilities, but also in CAMS services. And I was really concerned to begin with that I was moving away from learning disabilities and communication, but I soon realised that I wasn't really moving away from those at all, because the key themes of being an AHP leader are about having good communication and about hearing the voices of the seldom heard. It just happened it was AHPs and not people with learning disabilities. So I took on a full day, 1-day role, and then that became full-time in 2019. And I remain really optimistic about the sea change that's happening now about AHP leadership nationally, regionally, and with our own trust. I think we can see a real drive for parity for AHPs across board, so in leadership positions, but also in advanced clinical practice roles, in team leader roles, in ward manager roles, that we're starting to see these more and more open to AHPs as well as other professionals. And I think with that, we're seeing an increased amount of AHP visibility. So we're moving from being the seldom heard to being much more heard. And that is what really motivates me. And that's why I love my job.